Hey guys, it's Roasted, and I'm glad you're here. So this week, this is going to be the first episode of my weekly wisdom series. I'm going to try to do one of these videos every single week, and it's just going to kind of be, I don't really know what it's going to kind of be yet, but I want it to be where I kind of just spout off like any wisdom that I'm feeling I've received from anywhere else, because, it usually doesn't come from me. I'm not that smart. But it's usually I've heard it from somebody else, so I'll just regurgitate it just so I can hear it again for myself, and just hopefully so one of you guys can benefit from it. So I think this week I want to talk about anxiety. I want to talk about what it really is, where it kind of comes from, what I can do to get rid of it in my life, because so recently, actually, I've always had anxiety. I've always had really bad social anxiety. It's always really severely affected me. It kind of really started, I think, when I was in middle school, but it was always at school. Like when I was around other people, I didn't feel that I fit in. I've always felt that I had to try. I had to be somebody that I wasn't necessarily. I'd be somebody else. I always had to please others. But it brought along this severe social anxiety, something I was always afraid. And I think that I was afraid of what others were thinking of me. And so this fear of what others were thinking just controlled who I was and who I became. And I let it stay with me for many years. I'm 23 now. And so, when I was in middle school, I don't know how old I was. Somebody do that math, maybe. Wasn't the best at math. But this anxiety, it stuck with me. And so recently, though, I've had some things happen in my life to where it spiked upwards, and it turned into panic attacks. And I don't know if any of you have had a panic attack, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the most terrifying thing you can ever have. For anybody who hasn't, though, it feels like you're dying. It feels like you can't do anything, but it feels like you want to get out, just get away, just escape wherever you're at, stop doing whatever you're doing, and just get out. Either that or you're going to die. You can't describe it unless you have one. But for those that have had one, I'm sure you were wondering, why is this happening to me? Like, am I going crazy? What is this? How can I stop this? How can I make this never happen again? Is this going to happen when I'm having a meeting with somebody, or while I'm working my job, or while I'm at school? Is this going to happen? And then you're worrying about that. So panic attacks, since they recently started happening to me, they're kind of funny because they actually create more anxiety, and they kind of perpetuate themselves, which is terrible. But the anxiety, so for me, it was the social, which soon became physical anxiety. It turned into physical symptoms, where, my heart would race, and I would sweat, and I would just feel this pressure, this pressure coming down over top of me. It's like a blanket of darkness. I don't know how to really describe it. But so that progressed recently to panic attacks, and it's something that I did not know what to do. I have a few people in my life that I talk to about these type of things, and there were some suggestions given to me. So, on to the suggestions, on to the solutions. What can I do about this anxiety? What can I do about the panic attacks? Well, the anxiety, since it could be so many different things, is going to be a harder answer. So I guess I'll start with the panic attacks, which the funny thing is they're scary as hell, but it's actually the easier thing to solve. Really, for panic attacks, there's a couple of things. Breathing techniques, and there's this other really, really awesome thing called tapping. So tapping involves, on certain places on your body, you just tap with your hand, with the tips of your fingers. You just tap it. So a couple of the places that were shown to me are right on your chest, like right under your collarbone, like on one side or the other, left or right, doesn't really matter. Like right under where your chin would be, not on your neck necessarily, but on your chest, and you just start tapping, just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that fast. The speed doesn't really matter, though. Really, tap until you can tell that it's working, because you'll be able to tell. It's crazy. I'm serious. This helps. It's nonsensical. I have no idea why it helps. I think what it does is it takes your attention away from the panic that you're like the anxiety about the panic that you're feeling, and into where all you can feel is the tapping, and then you just all of a sudden forget why you were even panicking. It's crazy. It goes away. But the other thing that's important is the breathing. So this is another thing that I was told. It's not like I figured any of this out on my own, because I'm not that smart. But a smart person listens to others. So I would definitely suggest that. Never reinvent the wheel. Always borrow from others. Use what they have. It's important. But so this next thing is the breathing. All you do is just make sure that your in-breath is shorter than your out-breath. It's crazy. And if you actually want to get like some bonus points, I don't even know if there's bonus points to anxiety, but just when you're when you've inhaled and you have that pause, where you can just pause with all that air inside of you, if you want to make that part long too. So that part long as well as the breathing out long. So say you wanted to do like a 3, a 4, a 5. So that's as far as seconds. So, you breathe in for 3 seconds. So like 3, and then hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then have just a really long out breath. And that out breath doesn't allow, so the panic starts when you have too much oxygen. There's way too much oxygen going on. And it's weird because you didn't notice that you were hyperventilating before while you were really getting really anxious, but you were. And you were breathing very shallow and very quickly, and your body all of a sudden says, wow, this is way too much oxygen. Let's freak out. Let's freaking lose it, man. And then you go into the panic, and it sucks. But that's exactly where it's the oxygen. So that will really help. The tapping is like the first line of defense. It's like the quick, just like it'll stop it. But then the breathing will really calm you down and just take you out of that. So anyways, we gotta go back to, though, just the origin. So these things are temporary fixes like Band-Aids. And the panic attack is honestly, it's just your body telling you that you have way too much base level anxiety going on in your life. So in my life, it's the social. It's worrying about what others are thinking of me all the time. Is what I say going to matter to this person? Is what I say going to offend this person? All that stuff does not even matter. It just doesn't. But that's my battle. That's as far as what I've analyzed, that's what I have going on. So if you can take a second and just think about, it's interesting. Anxiety makes it very hard to analyze at first why you're anxious. You just feel like you're anxious and you don't really know how to describe it. You're just, I'm anxious. I don't know why, but there's always a reason. You can always trace it back to why you're anxious. Why am I anxious? You have to try to ask these questions the next time you're feeling anxious. And it could be, oh, wow, that one person just walked by me and didn't even say hi, and then I didn't realize, and it snowballed, and now it's lunchtime, and now I'm still feeling this anxiety from that one encounter with this person. Oh, well, if that's the only thing that's bothering me, then then why am I even anxious? This is pointless. Like, okay, well, screw that. All right. So it's like simple things, like, okay, and it's usually something that has happened, something that maybe somebody else did, or something like one of these things, and it's just you're carrying it with you. And so as soon as it can be analyzed, where is this coming from? Why is this like this? Then you can start to unravel the nonsense. And that's the thing. Anxiety used to apparently be very, not constant anxiety, of course, but the quick anxiety, like the panic anxiety, was very important, I suppose, when a lion is trying to eat you and your family. You gotta really get up in the morning when you just hear a lion roar. You probably jump out of bed pretty quick. You probably figure out, oh my God, where the heck did I put my club? Oh God, and you're probably not very groggy. You probably snap right to it. But now it's just not as important, and you're not in danger. you're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. These things would be good to reiterate through your mind as if panic is happening or any of that. But I really wanted to talk about anxiety and panic because that's what's going on in my life right now. And those are some of the things I said, the tapping and the breathing techniques. There's some of the things that I found have been working for me. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I know there's people out there that are suffering from this. And I don't want you to feel like you're alone. I want you to know that I'm there with you. I'm not physically there, of course, but I'm there with you in spirit. And everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And if you can remember that in the moment, and all the hecticness, all the craziness, that everything is going to be okay, then it's going to be okay. Because we can tell ourselves how we would like to be. Maybe not how we want to feel in the present moment, but we can tell ourselves that, you know what? I don't want to be anxious right now. So I'm going to try my very hardest to not be, and to be happy instead. And maybe look towards something that's really good about the day. Like maybe the guy didn't say hey to you, before lunchtime, but maybe later on you got a compliment on something you turned in, or some project you had, or maybe even like somebody smiled at you. Somebody smiled at you that day. But I know hopefully that wasn't too jumbled up and nonsensical, but this is my first weekly wisdom, episode 1, and so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. But thanks for tuning in again, and as always, stay roasted.